The Uber Eats driver just messaged me, "Enjoy the food, daddy," but I didn't order anything and my husband's in the shower. I stared at the phone sitting on the marble island, watching the notification bubble mock me. My husband Jamari was upstairs, belting out some early 2000s pop punk song in the shower, completely oblivious that his entire life was about to implode. I picked up the phone. It was unlocked. Jamari never locked it because he preached about total transparency. I tapped the notification. The order wasn't for a burger or tacos. It was for the expensive sushi place 3 towns over. 2 spicy tuna rolls, 1 sashimi platter, and a side of extra ginger. I hate ginger. Jamari knows I hate ginger. I scrolled down to the delivery instructions. Leave at door and text me exactly. Enjoy the food, daddy. So I know it's here. I'm sneaking this. My stomach dropped to my feet. He wasn't ordering dinner for us. He was ordering dinner for someone else or playing some weird roleplay game I didn't know about. He had autopilot sent $80 worth of raw fish to his wife instead of his mistress. The doorbell rang. I walked to the door, my hands shaking so bad I could barely grip the handle. I swung it open. The driver was a teenage kid who looked terrified. He was holding the bag out, looking at his phone, then back at his phone. I sent the text, he mumbled, shifting his weight. Like the note said? Thanks, I said, my voice sounding like gravel. Did he tip you well for that? The kid shrugged. $10. Keep it, I said. You are going to need it for therapy after this interaction. I took the bag and slammed the door. I marched to the kitchen island and dumped the sushi out. The shower water turned off upstairs. Babe, Jamari shouted, his voice echoing down the stairs. Did I hear the door? I am starving. I didn't answer, I just stood there, staring at the extra ginger. He came bounding down the stairs in a towel, rubbing his hair, looking all fresh and clean and innocent. He stopped dead when he saw the sushi spread across the counter. Oh, sick, he said, a smile spreading across his face. You ordered oishi? I thought we were saving money, but I am so down. He reached for a piece of tuna. I slapped his hand away. It is not for you, I said, holding up his phone with the chat log open. It is for daddy. Jamari froze. His face went from confusion to sheer panic in under a second. He looked at the phone, then at the sushi, then at me. I can explain, he stammered. Don't, I said. Just tell me who she is before I eat this entire platter out of spite and throw your PlayStation in the pool. I drove Jamari's Tesla like I was auditioning for Fast and Furious, weaving through traffic while my hands gripped the leather steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. The GPS chirped at me in that calm, robotic voice that made me want to scream. 2 miles to destination, 2 miles until I blew up my entire life. Jamari's phone was sitting in the cup holder. It buzzed every 30 seconds. Message from Jamari. Kiana, please pick up. Message from Jamari. Do not go inside. Message from Jamari. It is complicated. Complicated. That is the word men use when they get caught with their pants down. Calculus is complicated. Cheating on your wife with a girl who orders spicy tuna on a Tuesday is not complicated. It is a cliche. I waited for a red light and grabbed his phone. I needed more ammo. I opened his Cash App. I almost crashed the car. Numbers were staggering. $700 to Sunflower, note, rent assistance. $200 to Sunflower, note, nails and lashes. $400 to Sunflower, note, for that thing we talked about. $50 to Sunflower, note, Uber for the club. He wasn't just buying her dinner, he was funding her entire existence. I did the math in my head while the light turned green. In the last month alone, he had sent her $3,000. $3,000? That was the exact amount he told me we couldn't afford to put toward a vacation to Cabo last week. He told me money was tight. He told me the market was down. I felt a scream building in my throat, but I swallowed it down. I needed to be cold. I needed to be surgical. I pulled up to the Nest. It was a sleek, modern building with floor-to-ceiling glass windows and a lobby that smelled like expensive sandalwood. I knew he had a key fob on his ring, the one he told me was for the secure garage at his office. Liar. I parked the Tesla directly in the fire lane. I didn't care. Let them tow it. Let them crush it into a cube. I grabbed the brown paper bag of sushi and marched into the lobby. The concierge looked up, saw the fury in my eyes, and saw the key fob in my hand. He didn't say a word. He just went back to looking at his computer screen. He knew the drill. This probably happened once a week in a building like this. I got into the elevator and pressed 4. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Ding. 4th floor. The hallway was quiet. Plush carpet dampened my footsteps as I walked toward apartment 4B. I stood outside the door for a second. I could hear music inside. It was Doja Cat. I took a deep breath. I didn't knock. I tapped the key fob against the sensor. The light turned green. The lock clicked. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. "Daddy?" a voice called out from the living room. Finally, I am literally about to pass out from hunger. I walked around the corner into the living room. The girl was sitting on a beige sectional sofa, scrolling on her phone with one hand and holding a glass of wine with the other. She looked up. She wasn't a woman. She was barely out of college. She had blonde extensions, feelers in her lips that looked painful, and she was wearing the blue set. It was a lace lingerie set from La Perla. I knew the brand because I had looked at it online once and closed the tab when I saw the price tag. She froze. Her eyes went wide. She looked from me to the sushi bag in my hand to the keys. "Who are you?" she asked. Her voice wasn't scared. It was annoyed, like I was the maid interrupting her chill time. "Delivery," I said. I tossed the bag of sushi onto the coffee table. It landed with a heavy thud, knocking over a bottle of nail polish. "Hey!" she shrieked, jumping up. "Watch it. That is Chanel polish." "And I paid for it," I snapped. "Just like I paid for the sushi. Just like I paid for the rent on this apartment. And just like I paid for that blue set you're wearing." She narrowed her eyes. She looked me up and down, taking in my messy bun and my oversized t-shirt. "You're the wife," she said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact. "Jamari said you were older." "I am 26, I said, my voice trembling with rage. "And Jamari is a liar. But I think you already know that. Sunflower." She rolled her eyes and sat back down, crossing her legs. She picked up the sushi bag and started opening it. "Look," she said, popping a piece of edamame into her mouth. "I don't know what you want me to say. He is unhappy. He says you're controlling. He says you count his calories and nag him about his gaming." "I nag him about his gaming because he plays until 3 in the morning and forgets to take out the trash," I said. "But apparently, he has plenty of energy to play daddy over here." I looked around the apartment. It was nice. Too nice. And then I saw it, on the bookshelf in the corner, a vase, a blue, hand-blown glass vase with a distinct swirl pattern. My heart stopped. "Where did you get that?" I asked, pointing a shaking finger at the vase. She glanced at it. "Jamari gave it to me. He said it was an antique he found at an estate sale." "Why?" "That is my grandmother's vase," I whispered. "It went missing 3 months ago. Jamari told me the cleaning lady must have broken it and thrown it away. He watched me cry for 2 days over that vase." I walked over and grabbed it. It was definitely mine. The chip on the rim was still there. I looked around the room with fresh eyes. The throw blanket on the chair? That was the one I ordered from West Elm that never arrived. Jamari said the package got stolen off the porch. The Dyson Airwrap on the bathroom counter visible through the open door. Jamari told me he couldn't get me one for Christmas because they were sold out everywhere. He wasn't just cheating on me, he was stealing from me. He was taking bits and pieces of my life, things I loved, things I wanted, and he was giving them to her. He was building a replica of a life with a younger, blonder version of me using my own inventory. "He stole this," I said, clutching the vase. "He stole all of it." "He didn't steal it," Kylie scoffed. "He provided. That is what daddies do. Maybe if you were more appreciative, he wouldn't have to outsource his happiness." I saw red. Pure, unadulterated crimson rage. Jamari's phone in my pocket started ringing again. I pulled it out. Daddy calling. I answered it and put it on speaker. "Kiana!" Jamari screamed. "Kiana, please tell me you didn't go inside. I am 5 minutes away. Please just wait for me." "I am inside, Jamari," I said, staring dead at Kylie. "And I am looking at my grandmother's vase, the one the cleaning lady broke. Remember?" There was silence on the line. "And I'm looking at Kylie," I continued. "She is wearing the blue set. It looks cheap on her, by the way." "Hey!" Kylie yelled in the background. "Jamari," I said, my voice dropping to a whisper. "I'm going to ask you one question, and if you lie to me, I'm going to burn this entire apartment complex to the ground." "Anything," Jamari pleaded. "I swear, anything." "I am looking at the lease agreement on the kitchen counter," I lied. I hadn't seen it. But I had a hunch. "Why is your name not on it? Why is the lease under the name of an LLC called Future Ventures?" Jamari made a noise that sounded like a dying animal. "Kiana, please," he sobbed. "What is Future Ventures, Jamari?" I screamed. He didn't answer, but Kylie did. She stood up, smirking. She walked over to the counter and picked up a file folder I hadn't noticed. Future Ventures isn't just the lease, sweetie, she said, loud enough for the phone to hear. It is the company he started with the money he withdrew from your joint home equity line of credit. You know, the one you guys were saving for a baby. She tossed the folder at me. Papers scattered across the floor. Bank statements. Withdrawal slips. $80,000. He had drained the house equity. He hadn't just stolen my vase. He had stolen our future. Jamari, I said into the phone, turn the car around. What? He stammered. Why? I am almost there. Because, I said, watching Kylie eat my spicy tuna roll with a smug grin. I am calling the police, and I am reporting a robbery, grand larceny, and fraud. Kiana, you can't, Jamari screamed. Watch me, I said. And Kylie, you might want to finish that sushi fast, because I am pretty sure they don't serve spicy tuna in county jail. I hung up the phone. Kylie stopped chewing. The smirk fell off her face. You're bluffing, she said. Try me, I said, pulling out my own phone. I have the receipts, I have the Cash App logs, and I have the vase. I dialed 911, but before I could hit send, the front door beeped. Someone else was using a key fob. It wasn't Jamari. Jamari was 5 minutes away. The door swung open. A woman in her 50s walked in holding a bag of groceries. She looked familiar. She looked exactly like the woman in the photo on Jamari's desk at work. Kylie, the woman called out, I brought you some soup. I know morning sickness is tough in the first trimester. I froze. It was Jamari's mother, and she just said morning sickness. I froze. My feet felt like they were encased in concrete. The woman standing in the doorway, holding a Tupperware container of soup, wasn't just a stranger. She was Helena, my mother-in-law, the woman who spent every Thanksgiving criticizing my turkey for being too dry. The woman who told me I was too career-focused to understand the delicate art of homemaking. And she was standing in my husband's mistress's apartment, holding chicken noodle soup because Kylie had morning sickness. Helena looked at me. Her eyes widened for a fraction of a second, then narrowed into slits. She didn't look guilty. She looked annoyed that she had been caught. Kiana, she said, her voice cool and detached. I didn't know you were visiting. Visiting? I choked out. A laugh bubbled up in my throat, manic and sharp. Is that what we are calling it? I thought I was interrupting a family reunion, because that is what this is, isn't it? A family reunion without the wife. I looked from Helena to Kylie. Kylie was still sitting on the couch, smirking, eating my spicy tuna roll. She told you, I whispered. Jamari told you about her. Jamari didn't have to tell me, Helena said, walking past me into the kitchen like she owned the place. She set the soup down on the counter, right next to the lease agreement for Future Ventures. A mother knows when her son is happy, and he hasn't been happy in a long time. Kiana. The audacity. The sheer, unmitigated audacity. So you condone this? I asked, walking toward her. You condone your son draining our life savings? You condone him stealing my grandmother's vase? You condone him cheating on his wife of 4 years with a girl who looks like she learned how to do her makeup from a YouTube tutorial on mute? Watch it, Kylie snapped from the couch. Stress is bad for the baby. The baby. The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud. You're pregnant, I said. It wasn't a question. Kylie rubbed her stomach, which was completely flat beneath the blue La Perla lace. 10 weeks. We heard the heartbeat last Tuesday. It was strong. Daddy cried. I felt like I was going to throw up. Last Tuesday, Jamari came home late and told me he had a flat tire. He came home with red-rimmed eyes, and I thought it was from stress at work. I hugged him. I comforted him. I made him tea. He was crying because he heard his mistress's baby's heartbeat. We were trying, I said, my voice breaking. Jamari and I were trying for a baby. For 2 years? Helena turned around. She crossed her arms over her chest. And maybe that was the problem. Kiana, you were trying too hard. You were so focused on schedules and ovulation kits and doctors. Kylie just let it happen. She is natural. She is nurturing. She is what Jamari needs. She is 22, I screamed. She doesn't have a job. She is living off my home equity. She is the mother of my grandson, Helena hissed. And that makes her family, unlike you, who seems determined to emasculate my son at every turn. I stared at her. This woman had eaten at my table. She had accepted my Christmas gifts. She had smiled to my face while plotting my replacement. Suddenly, the front door banged open. Jamari burst in. He was wearing a pair of basketball shorts that were too small and a stained t-shirt. He was barefoot. He must have sprinted from the Uber. Stop! he yelled, breathless. Everyone just stop! He looked wild. His eyes darted from me to his mother, to Kylie. Mom? He breathed. What are you doing here? I brought soup, Helena said calmly. For Kylie. Jamari looked at me. Kiana, please, put the vase down. Let's go home. We can talk about this. Home? I laughed. Wait, what home? Jamari, the one you leveraged to fund future ventures? Or this home? The nest? Which one is home? I picked up the file folder from the floor again. I needed to see the rest. I needed to know how deep the rot went. I flipped past the bank statements to the business plan. Future Ventures wasn't a tech startup. It wasn't a real estate investment. It was a boutique baby clothing line. You stole $80,000, I said, reading the page. To start a baby clothing line. For Kylie? She has an eye for fashion, Jamari said quickly. It is an investment. Kiana, she is going to be an influencer. The mommy blogger niche is huge right now. We were going to make it back tenfold. We? I asked, who is we? Because my name isn't on the LLC. My name is just on the debt. I was going to pay it back, Jamari shouted. Before you found out, I just needed a little capital to get her started. She can't work a normal job. Kiana, she gets overwhelmed easily. She has anxiety. I have anxiety, I screamed. I am having a panic attack right now, but I still go to work every single day to pay the mortgage on a house you are actively destroying. Kylie stood up. She walked over to Jamari and wrapped her arms around his waist. She rested her head on his shoulder, looking at me with those dead, shark-like eyes. You are just jealous, Kylie said softly. 'Cause he picked me. He picked the mother of his child. You are just the starter wife. Everyone knows the starter wife never lasts. Starter wife. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was quiet. It was the sound of the last thread of my patience severing. I looked at the vase in my hand, my grandmother's vase. You know what? I said, my voice terrifyingly calm. You are right. I am the starter wife, which means I get to start the demolition. I didn't throw the vase at them. That would be assault. I wasn't going to jail tonight. I turned and threw the vase at the 60-inch flat-screen TV mounted on the wall behind me. Crash. The blue glass shattered into a million pieces. The TV screen spiderwebbed and went black. Sparks flew. My TV, Kylie shrieked. My vase, I corrected. And technically, my TV. Since my credit card paid for the Best Buy run last month, Jamari lunged at me. Are you insane? That was $1,000. Add it to the bill, I said. I grabbed the folder of financial documents. I grabbed the lease agreement. Where are you going? Helena demanded, blocking the hallway. You are not leaving with those papers. Those are private business documents. They are evidence, I said. And unless you want me to call the IRS and tell them about the business expenses your son is writing off for his mistress's lingerie, you are going to move. Now. Helena hesitated. She looked at Jamari. Jamari looked like he was about to vomit. Mom, move, Jamari whispered. Helena stepped aside, shooting me a look that could curdle milk. I walked to the door. I stepped over the threshold, clutching the papers to my chest. Oh, and Jamari? I called back. He looked up. He was holding Kylie, who was sobbing fake tears into his stained t-shirt. I hope the baby looks like you, I said. Because if it looks like the personal trainer Kylie has been Venmoing $500 a week for private glute sessions, this is going to be really awkward for you. Kylie stopped crying instantly. Her head snapped up. Jamari froze. What? Check the Cash App logs, Daddy, I said. You aren't the only one funding her existence. I slammed the door. I ran down the hallway. I didn't wait for the elevator. I took the stairs, taking them two at a time. I burst into the lobby and sprinted to the Tesla. It was still there. The hazard lights were blinking against the dark pavement. I jumped in and locked the doors just as Jamari burst out of the building entrance, barefoot and screaming my name. I threw the car into drive. I floored it. I watched him in the rearview mirror, shrinking smaller and smaller until he was just a speck in the distance. I wasn't going home. Home wasn't safe. Helena had a key to our house. Jamari knew the alarm code. I needed somewhere safe. I needed somewhere they couldn't find me. And I needed to find out who this personal trainer was. Because if my math was right, and based on the dates of those Venmo payments, Jamari wasn't the only one who had been visiting the nest. I pulled out my phone and dialed the one person I knew would answer. Hello? Sadie, I said, tears finally streaming down my face. I know we haven't talked since the wedding, but I need you, and I need your lawyer. Sadie didn't ask questions when I showed up at her door at midnight looking like a fugitive. She took one look at my tear-streaked face, the brown paper bag of sushi I was still clutching like a lifeline, and the folder of stolen documents. Wine, she said. Red or white? Vodka, I rasped. The whole bottle. Sadie is the kind of friend you call when you need to bury a body. She works in forensic accounting for high net worth divorces. She eats cheating husbands for breakfast and flosses with their prenups. We sat on her living room floor surrounded by the papers I had liberated from the nest. The sushi was long gone. Sadie had eaten the spicy tuna rolls out of spite while I paced the room. Okay, Sadie said, adjusting her glasses. She looked like a shark smelling blood in the water. Let's diagnose the damage. How much did you say was in the HELOC? 80,000. I said, hugging my knees to my chest. We were saving it for a down payment on a rental property, or a baby, whichever came first. Sadie slid through the bank statements. Her highlighter moved across the page like a weapon. It is worse than 80,000, Kiana, she said grimly. Look at the recurring withdrawals. I leaned in. My eyes were burning, but I forced myself to focus. Consulting fee. HM services, $2,000. Monthly, I read. Who is HM? Sadie asked. I froze. HM Helena Miller, my mother-in-law. No, I whispered. That isn't possible. She just brings them soup. She just supports them. She is on the payroll, Kiana, Sadie said, tapping the paper. Your husband isn't just funding his mistress. He's paying his mother a salary to manage his mistress. Look at the dates. The payment started 6 months ago. The same week, Kylie moved into the nest. I felt the room spin. Helena wasn't just complicit. She was an employee. She was getting paid $2,000 a month of my money to play house with the girl who was destroying my marriage. Why? I choked out. Why would she do that? She has a pension. She has a house. Because you cut her off, Sadie reminded me. Remember Christmas 2 years ago? Jamari wanted to buy her a new car and you said no. You said we needed to prioritize our own savings. Helena never forgave you for closing the bank of Jamari. It all clicked. The snide comments, the cold shoulders. Helena didn't care about Kylie. She didn't care about the baby. She cared that Kylie was a leaky faucet she could drink from, whereas I was the one who turned off the tap. She found a girl stupid enough to spend my money and a son weak enough to allow it, and she inserted herself as the middleman. She is laundering my money through a fake baby clothes company, I said, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. It gets better, Sadie said. Or worse, depending on how much you want to watch Jamari burn. She pulled up Instagram on her iPad. She had been cyberstalking while I was spiraling. You mentioned a personal trainer, Sadie said. Kylie's Venmo history is public because she is an idiot. She pays Jackson Fit $500 a week. Yeah, I said. Glute sessions. I found Jackson, Sadie said, turning the screen toward me. Jackson looked like a Ken doll that had been left in the microwave. Too much tan, too many muscles, and teeth that were blindingly white. Scroll down, Sadie said. I scrolled. Gym selfies, protein shake ads, and then a video from 10 weeks ago. It was a boomerang. Jackson was shirtless in a hotel room. In the background, sitting on the bed in a blue lace set, was a blonde girl holding a glass of champagne. She was covering her face with the glass, but I recognized the tattoo on her wrist, a tiny butterfly. I had stared at that same tattoo an hour ago while she ate my edamame. The dates match, Sadie said. 10 weeks ago, the same week she supposedly conceived the golden grandchild. It's not Jamari's baby, I whispered. A wave of relief washed over me, followed immediately by a tsunami of rage. Jamari thinks he is the father. Helena thinks she has a grandson, but they are just funding Jackson's side piece. We need proof, Sadie said. Hard proof. Because right now, this is just a blurry Instagram story. We need DNA. How? I asked. I can't exactly ask Kylie for a swab. She thinks I am going to burn her apartment down. We don't need Kylie, Sadie said. A wicked smile spreading across her face. We need Jamari. Does he still use that electric toothbrush you bought him? The one with the replaceable heads? Yes, I said. And I assume he hasn't changed the head in months because men are gross. Probably. There is your DNA, Sadie said. And for the baby? Well, when we play the long game. But first, we need to secure your assets before they drain the rest of the accounts. Suddenly, my phone rang. It wasn't Jamari. It was the home security system app. Alert. Front door opened. 1:14 a.m. Alert. Garage door opened. 1:15 a.m. He is at the house, I said, grabbing my phone. He went home. I pulled up the live feed. Jamari was in the living room. He was frantic. He was tearing through the drawers in the hallway console table. He wasn't packing a bag. He wasn't looking for me. He was looking for the safe key. He knows I took the papers, I said. He is trying to get to the passports. Or the cash we keep for emergencies? Let him look, Sadie said calmly. I froze your joint accounts 10 minutes ago. I called the fraud department pretending to be you. I told them my wallet was stolen. His cards are bricks, Kiana. On the screen, Jamari pulled out his phone. He dialed a number. My phone didn't ring. He isn't calling me, I said. On the video feed, Jamari started shouting into the phone. She knows, Mom. She took the Future Ventures folder. She knows about the payroll. You said the LLC would protect us. You said she couldn't touch the money by Taimao. I turned up the volume on my phone. No, I can't just deny it, Jamari screamed, kicking the ottoman. She has the bank statements. She saw the HM transfers. What? What do you mean you signed it? He stopped moving. The color drained from his face, visible even in the grainy night vision. Mom, Jamari whispered, his voice trembling. Tell me you didn't. He listened for a moment. Then he slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor, head in his hands. You forged her signature on the loan modification, he said. The room went silent. Sadie and I looked at each other. Did you hear that? Sadie whispered. He just confessed, I said. He just admitted on a recorded line in our own house that his mother forged my signature on a loan modification. That isn't just fraud, Sadie said, pulling out her laptop. That is a federal crime. That is prison time, Kiana, for both of them. On the screen, Jamari stood up. He looked defeated. He looked around the living room, the house we had built together, the life he had torched for a girl who was sleeping with her trainer. He looked directly into the security camera. He knew I was watching. He knew I always checked the notifications. Kiana, he said to the camera, if you are watching this, Mom says we need to talk. She says, if you go to the police, she will tell them the drugs in your car are yours. I stared at the screen. What drugs? I asked the empty room. The drugs she is planting right now, Sadie said, slamming her laptop shut. Where's your spare key? Under the rock, I said. Call the police, Sadie commanded, standing up and grabbing her coat. Call them now. Tell them you have an intruder. Tell them you fear for your life. Because Helena isn't just a greedy mother-in-law anymore. She is cornered. And cornered animals bite. What are you going to do? I asked. Scrambling to dial 9 Eindor seine Buyens ID I'd Frey by a. I am going to meet the cops at your house, Sadie said. And I am going to make sure that when they search your car, they find the camera I am about to hide in the bushes to record Helena planting the evidence. Sadie, I said, grabbing her arm. Jamari is still my husband. Sadie looked at me. Her eyes were cold. Not anymore, she said. Now, he is just the getaway driver. The red and blue lights of the police cruisers reflected off the neighbors' windows like a disco ball from hell. I watched from Sadie's car, parked 3 houses down, shivering despite the heated seats. We had timed it perfectly. Or rather, Sadie had timed it perfectly. Here comes the show, Sadie whispered, pointing her phone at my driveway to record. Officer Daniels, a guy I went to high school with who used to eat glue but now carried a badge, was walking a handcuffed Jamari out of the house. Jamari looked small, defeated. He was wearing the same stained t-shirt from The Nest, now paired with expensive basketball shorts. Behind him, another officer was escorting Helena. She wasn't walking like a criminal, she was walking like a martyr. Her head was held high, her lips pressed into a thin line. She was still holding her purse. The one I knew contained the spare key she used to let herself in. Mrs. Miller, I heard the officer say as they passed Sadie's open window. We found the baggies in the wheel well of the Tesla, but we also have footage from the neighbor's Ring camera of you placing them there 10 minutes ago. Helena stopped. Her composure cracked. That is absurd, she spat. I was checking the tire pressure. I am a concerned mother ensuring my son's vehicle is safe. At 2 a.m.? The officer asked dryly. With a bag of prescription opioids labeled with someone else's name? I gasped. Opioids. She wasn't just planting weed, she was planting felonies. She was trying to get me sent away for trafficking so she could keep the house, the money, and the grandson. It is a misunderstanding, Jamari yelled from the back of the cruiser. Kiana! Kiana, tell them. Tell them Mom is just confused. He spotted me. He saw Sadie's car. He started thrashing against the window like a trapped bird. Kiana! He screamed. Baby, please, I can fix this. We can go to therapy. I will fire her. I will fire my mom. I rolled down the window. The cold night air hit my face. You can't fire her! Jamari! I called out, my voice steady for the first time all night. She is your co-conspirator. And I think the severance package is going to be 5 to 10 years in federal prison. I rolled the window up. The cruisers pulled away. The silence that followed was heavy. So, Sadie said, putting the car in drive. Divorce lawyers or breakfast? Both, I said. But first, we need to go to the hospital. Why? Sadie asked, glancing at me with concern. Are you hurt? No, I said. But I have a hunch. If Helena was desperate enough to plant drugs, she was desperate enough to fake other things. I want to see the ultrasound photos, the ones Jamari keeps in his wallet. He is in jail. Kiana, his wallet is in an evidence bag. I know, I said. But Kylie isn't in jail, and Kylie loves attention. I pulled up Instagram. Kylie was live. She was sitting in her blue lace set, crying dramatically to 300 viewers. The caption read, "My baby daddy arrested. Toxic ex-wife ruins everything. Cha-cha drama or single mom." She is live streaming the aftermath, I said, handing the phone to Sadie. Look at the background. Sadie squinted at the screen. Kylie was in the bathroom of the Nest. Behind her, on the counter, was a box. Is that? Sadie started. A prosthetic bump kit, I said. From Amazon. I saw the same box when I was looking for Halloween costumes last year. Oh my God, Sadie whispered. There is no baby. There never was, I said. The ultrasound was fake. The heartbeat was a YouTube audio track. Helena knew. She helped her stage it. That is why she was managing her. Why? Sadie asked. Why go to all that trouble? Because of the trust fund. I realized. Jamari's grandfather left a trust. It unlocks when the first great-grandchild is born. $500,000. Holy... Sadie trailed off. They weren't just stealing your HELOC money. They were playing the long con for the trust fund. Helena wanted the payout. And Jamari was the pawn, I said. The idiot pawn who thought he was just getting lucky with a younger girl. My phone buzzed. A DM from Kylie. Sunflower. You think you won? I have the keys to the Tesla. And I'm coming for the rest of what's mine. I laughed. It was a cold, hard sound. Sadie, I said, take me to the Nest. Are you sure? Sadie asked. Kylie is unhinged. I'm not going to fight her, I said. I am going to show her the news. We drove back to the apartment complex. The sun was starting to rise, painting the sky in shades of bruised purple and pink. I didn't need a key fob this time. The front door was propped open by a moving crew. Kylie wasn't coming for me. She was running. I walked into the lobby. Kylie was there, struggling with a Louis Vuitton suitcase that looked heavier than she was. She was wearing oversized sunglasses and a hoodie. She saw me and froze. You, she hissed. You called the cops. I called the cops on the drug dealers, I said calmly. The police did the rest when they found the forgery kit in Helena's purse. Kylie's face went pale. Forgery kit? Yeah, I lied. Turns out Helena was forging checks in your name too. Did you know she opened 3 credit cards using your social security number? She told the police you were the mastermind behind the identity theft ring. It was a gamble, a massive bluff. But I knew narcissists like Kylie. They turn on each other the second the ship starts sinking. Kylie screamed. She told me it was safe. She said she was just building my credit score. She lied, I said. Just like you lied about the baby. Kylie stopped screaming. She looked at her stomach. She looked at me. I didn't lie, she whispered. I lost it from the stress, just now. Save it for the jury, Kylie, I said. Or save yourself. What do you mean? She asked, her eyes darting around the lobby. The police are looking for the 3rd accomplice, I said. The one who helped launder the money through future ventures. Helena is already blaming you. Jamari is crying in a cell. The only person who hasn't given a statement yet is you. Kylie dropped the suitcase. If I talk, she started. If I tell them everything about the fake ultrasound, about the trust fund plan, then maybe you are just a witness, I said. A victim of a controlling boyfriend and his psycho mother. Kylie looked at the door. She looked at me. I have the texts, she said quickly. Helena texting me the script, telling me what to say to Jamari, telling me to buy the bump. Show them to the police, I said. Officer Daniels is at the station. Tell him Kiana sent you. Kylie didn't hesitate. She left the suitcase. She ran out the door, hailing a cab like her life depended on it. I watched her go. You know, Sadie said, walking up behind me. You are terrifying. I learned from the best, I said. Helena taught me everything I know about manipulation. She just forgot that the student eventually surpasses the master. I looked down at my phone. A notification from the bank. Alert. Joint account unfrozen. Balance 0.0. My heart stopped. Sadie, I said, the account is empty. But I froze it, Sadie said. It should be locked. It was, I said. But someone emptied it before the freeze went through. Look at the timestamp. 12:58 a.m. 10 minutes before I called Sadie. Who? Sadie asked. I looked at the transaction details. Wire transfer to Cayman Holdings, LLC. Authorized by J. Miller. Jamari didn't go to the house to find the safe key. He went to the house to use the secure token on his desktop computer to wire the last of our money offshore. He wasn't crying in the cell because he missed me. He was crying because he got caught before he could get on the plane. He stole it all, I whispered. Every penny. Sadie put a hand on my shoulder. Not every penny, she said. Look at the other notification. I scrolled down. Deposit received, $800,000. Source, Grandma Josie Estate. I gasped. The house, my grandmother's house. It had sold. The escrow closed yesterday. The money hit my personal account this morning. Jamari didn't know about the inheritance. He thought the house was still in probate. He stole the joint account, Sadie said to Rinso, grinning. He stole the debt. He stole the scraps. But he didn't touch the nest egg. I looked at the balance. Mine, sole and separate property. Do you know what this means? I asked Sadie. It means you are rich, Sadie said. No, I said, walking toward the door, leaving the wreckage of my marriage behind me. It means I can afford the best divorce lawyer in the state. And I'm going to sue them for every single penny of that trust fund they tried to steal. I walked out into the morning sun. The air was crisp. I was single, I was homeless, but I was free, and I had 800,000 reasons to smile. Update. My husband and Mael are in federal prison, and I just bought their nest. It has been 8 months since I watched my ex-husband and his mother get loaded into the back of police cruisers while I sat in my divorce lawyer's Mercedes. A lot has happened. I got a haircut, I got a therapist, and I got a very large settlement check. But first, let's talk about the trial. Because if you thought the night of the arrest was chaotic, you should have seen the courtroom. It turns out Helena Miller wasn't just a controlling mother-in-law. She was a prolific fraudster. When the police searched her purse that night, they didn't just find the forgery kit she used to sign my name on the loan modification. They found a notebook, a literal ledger of crimes. Helena had been running a senior investment club at her church for 5 years. Spoiler alert, there were no investments. It was a Ponzi scheme. She was using the church lady's pension checks to fund her lifestyle, and apparently to fund her son's mistress. When the prosecutor read the charges, Helena didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She looked at the jury and said, I was merely reallocating resources to those who deserve them. The jury didn't agree. Helena was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison for wire fraud, identity theft, and drug possession. The pills she tried to plant on me were actually hers, stolen from a neighbor. As for Jamari, he tried to play the victim. His lawyer argued that he was manipulated by his mother, that he was a downtrodden son under the spell of a matriarch. It almost worked, until the prosecution called their star witness, Kylie. Kylie walked into that courtroom wearing a modest cardigan and flats, looking like a librarian who had never heard of La Perla. She had taken a plea deal, full immunity, in exchange for testimony. She sang like a canary. She told the court everything: how Jamari set up the Cayman accounts, how he laughed about draining the HELOC, how he planned to declare bankruptcy after the divorce to leave me with the debt while he lived off the trust fund. She even played a voice memo she had recorded of Jamari. Don't worry, babe. Kiana is too soft to fight back. We will bleed her dry, and she will thank us for leaving her the cat. The courtroom gasped. I didn't. I just stared at Jamari until he looked away. Jamari got 5 years. And thanks to Sadie's brilliance, the judge ordered full restitution. The wire transfer to the Cayman Islands was frozen and reversed. I got every single penny of the $80,000 back. But the cherry on top? The Justice Department seized Jamari's assets to pay for the fines. His sneaker collection? Sold. His gaming PC? Sold. The Tesla, I bought it. I stood at the police auction with my paddle raised high. I bought his precious Model S for 40 cents on the dollar. I drive it to therapy every Tuesday. It smells like victory and leather conditioner. But that isn't even the best part. With the divorce finalized, The restitution paid, and my grandmother's inheritance sitting in my account, I had some capital to invest. I remembered what Jamari said about real estate, how he wanted to own rental properties, how he wanted to build an empire. I decided to take his advice. The apartment complex downtown, The Nest, had a unit come up for sale, a foreclosure. Apparently, the previous tenant had been evicted after her daddy stopped paying the rent and she couldn't afford the lease on her own. I bought Unit 4B. I am sitting in it right now. I renovated. I tore out the beige carpet. I painted over the gray walls. I installed a security system that actually works. I turned the second bedroom, the one they were going to turn into a nursery for a fake baby, into a home office. It is where I run my new business. I started a consulting firm helping women find hidden assets in high-conflict divorces. Sadie is my partner. We are fully booked until 2027. As for Kylie, she didn't get off scot-free. Sure, she avoided prison, but the internet is forever. The clip of her live stream, the one where she admitted to the fake bump, went viral. She lost her followers. She lost her brand deals. Last I heard, she was working at a smoothie shop in the next town over. I stopped by yesterday. I ordered a kale detox. She saw me. She froze. She looked at the Tesla key fob in my hand. "Enjoy the smoothie," I said. She didn't say anything. She just handed me the cup with a shaking hand. I walked out to the car. I sat in the driver's seat and took a sip. It tasted terrible. I hate kale, but I drank every drop. My phone buzzed. A notification from the federal penitentiary email system. Inmate message, Miller, Jamari. I didn't open it. I didn't delete it. I just let it sit there. A little digital reminder that while he is sitting in a 6x8 cell wearing orange, I am sitting in his dream apartment, driving his dream car, living the life he tried to steal from me. I looked over at the passenger seat. There, buckled in safely, was a new vase. It wasn't blue. It was bright, chaotic, beautiful gold. I put the car in drive. I have a date tonight. He is a forensic accountant. He loves ginger, and he has never called anyone daddy in his life. I turned up the volume on the radio. It was playing Doja Cat. I sang along. The end.